Now that my job gives me the opportunity to travel and tour, I've been all around the world, and there's literally no place like Trinidad and Tobago. From our people, our general culture, our food, our landscapes, there's nowhere in the world that is like Trinidad and Tobago, literally.
The real meaning of Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, two small islands resting quietly in the southern Caribbean, are known around the world for one thing that defines their spirit: Carnival. This video is about that festival, but not in the way most people think. When people outside hear the word Carnival, they picture costumes, feathers, and music filling the streets, but for Trinidadians, it is something deeper. It is a tradition that carries history, freedom, and identity all in one. Before we understand the meaning of Carnival, we need to know the story of this country itself, because every part of its celebration is connected to its past. Trinidad and Tobago lie just off the coast of Venezuela, where the Caribbean Sea meets the Atlantic Ocean. The country has a population of roughly 1.5 million people, made up mainly of descendants of Africans and Indians, along with smaller groups of Europeans, Chinese, and Middle Eastern people. It is a mix that reflects centuries of movement and change, yet the people have built one identity: proud, warm, and united. The islands were colonized first by the Spanish, then later by the French and British, who all left their marks in language, religion, and culture. Independence came in 1962, and since then, the nation has shaped its own direction while keeping its cultural roots alive. Religion is diverse: Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and others all live side by side, but no matter the faith, almost everyone celebrates Carnival in some way. To understand Carnival, you have to go back to the days before independence, long before freedom was even a dream. When the French planters brought their pre-Lenten masquerade balls to Trinidad in the 18th century, it was meant only for the wealthy and the white. Enslaved Africans were not allowed to take part, but they watched closely and later turned what they saw into their own form of celebration. What started as imitation quickly became resistance. When slavery was abolished in 1834, the newly freed people used Carnival to express their freedom openly for the first time. It became their stage to laugh, dance, mock the oppressors, and show that their spirits could not be controlled. Over time, those same French customs, masks, music, and costumes were transformed into something new and proudly local. That is where the real meaning of Carnival began: freedom in its truest form, expressed through music, movement, and unity. As the years passed, Carnival evolved into more than a celebration. It became a national symbol. Every February or March, depending on the year, Trinidad and Tobago come alive with preparations that begin months in advance. People join Mars bands, short for masquerade bands, where designers and artists spend endless hours creating costumes. These costumes, colorful yet meaningful, are not random. Each one usually tells a story, representing historical themes, social commentary, or cultural pride. What outsiders often see as simple entertainment is actually a reflection of the nation's memory. Calypso music, one of Trinidad's great gifts to the world, was born out of this same carnival culture. It started as a way for the enslaved to communicate and later evolved into a form of social and political expression, where singers commented on everything from colonial injustice to daily life. Soca music later followed, bringing a faster rhythm and joy that matched the energy of the people. The steel pan, another creation of Trinidad and Tobago, also grew out of this carnival tradition. It was born during times of poverty, when young men used discarded oil drums to make music. Today, it stands proudly as the only acoustic instrument invented in the 20th century and is recognized globally as a symbol of Caribbean innovation. During Carnival, steel pan bands compete in massive events like Panorama, filling the air with a sound that instantly identifies where you are, only in Trinidad. The unity and skill behind it show how creativity rose from struggle. People of all ages participate, from young children learning their first songs to veterans who've been playing for decades. It's not just about the notes, it's about pride, discipline, and belonging. When you walk through Port of Spain during Carnival, you see something that no video can truly capture: the sheer togetherness of people. There is no barrier between rich and poor, between background or race. Everyone becomes part of one heartbeat. For many Trinidadians, this moment of unity is the true spirit of Carnival. They say it's the only time of year when the whole country moves as one. Foreign visitors often come for the excitement, but those who stay longer begin to understand that what they are witnessing is not just a festival, it's a continuation of a long conversation between generations, a conversation about freedom, identity, and pride. Carnival also has a strong spiritual and emotional side that is rarely talked about. For some, it is linked to the pre-Lenten Catholic calendar, marking a time to enjoy life before the fasting season begins. For others, it holds no direct religious meaning but connects deeply to the ancestors. When the drums beat and the people dance, many say it feels like the past is alive again. The energy of those who once fought, worked, and dreamed flows through the crowd. It is a reminder that despite all the pain their forefathers faced, they survived, and now their descendants dance freely in the same streets that once held chains. Over the years, Carnival has become an essential part of the national economy. Each year, it attracts tens of thousands of visitors, filling hotels and bringing business to local artisans, musicians, and vendors. The creativity around costume design alone employs hundreds of people, from fabric workers to makeup artists and event organizers. It is estimated that Carnival contributes hundreds of millions of dollars to the economy, making it one of Trinidad and Tobago's most valuable industries. But beyond the money, what really matters to the people is how it strengthens their cultural identity. It reminds them that success is not only measured in wealth but in how strong a people remain in holding on to their roots. As modern times bring new influences, Carnival continues to adapt. Technology, global media, and tourism have introduced new styles, but the essence remains the same. Today, you can see younger generations blending traditional calypso with global beats, experimenting with digital art in costume design, or sharing Carnival stories online. Despite these changes, the message has never been lost. Carnival is still about freedom, creativity, and unity. It stands as proof that a small island nation can influence the world while staying true to itself. There's also something deeply social about Carnival that makes it special. It gives people a way to escape the pressures of daily life. Not by ignoring them, but by celebrating despite them. For 2 days, people put aside politics, class, and stress and remind themselves that life is meant to be lived. Many locals describe Carnival as a kind of therapy, a yearly reminder to let go, laugh, and reconnect with the people around them. Carnival's meaning also extends beyond the borders of Trinidad and Tobago. The festival has inspired similar celebrations in London, Toronto, New York, and other parts of the Caribbean. Events like Notting Hill Carnival and Caravana in Toronto were built by Trinidadian migrants who wanted to keep their traditions alive abroad. That alone shows how strong this culture is, even far from home. Its rhythm continues. It has become part of the Caribbean's global identity, representing freedom and resilience wherever it goes. As Carnival approaches each year, preparation begins quietly. Mars camps open, designers draw sketches, and bands start practicing. There is a rhythm to the season itself, calm in the beginning, then energy rising as the big day comes closer. Juvert, which marks the dawn of Carnival Monday, is often the most raw and emotional part. People cover themselves in paint, mud, or oil and take to the streets before sunrise, celebrating in a way that feels ancient and pure. It symbolizes a new day, a cleansing of the past, and the freedom to start again. Behind all the excitement, there's a lesson. Carnival shows how a people who once had nothing found a way to create something powerful and lasting. It's not just about the dance, it's about dignity. Every drumbeat, every step, every laugh carries the memory of survival and hope. That is why even when the music stops, the feeling remains. Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival is proof that true culture doesn't need to be created in a studio or written in books. It grows naturally from the lives of ordinary people. The fact that this small country, once a colony, could create a celebration now admired worldwide says everything about the strength of its people. Carnival is not a show for the world, it's a gift from them to themselves. And when it's all over, and the costumes are packed away, the island returns to its calm rhythm. But for weeks after, the stories, laughter, and music stay in the air. That's what makes it special. It's not something you can buy or fake. It's real, and it belongs to the people. That's the real meaning of Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago: freedom that came from pain, joy that came from struggle, and unity that came from diversity. Carnival today in Trinidad and Tobago is more than an annual celebration. It has become a living rhythm that carries into every part of the nation's life. After the last costumes are stored away and the streets are cleared, the energy remains in schools, homes, and communities. Children grow up hearing stories of famous bands, legendary performers, and historical parades. They learn that Carnival is not something imported or borrowed, it is something that belongs to them. Teachers use its history to explain resilience, artists use its colors to inspire new work, and families plan their calendars around it. Even businesses structure their yearly breaks to fit the season, because for most Trinidadians, Carnival is not just 2 days, it's a mindset, a reminder of who they are as a people. When you look closely, Carnival has shaped how Trinidad and Tobago sees creativity itself. Every costume, song, and dance begins with imagination that comes from ordinary people. The costume makers are not global designers with studios abroad, they are local tailors, welders, and craft workers who turn simple materials into beauty. Young people learn early that talent has no boundaries. A teenager from Laventille or San Fernando can design something so powerful that it ends up on a national stage. That belief in personal ability feeds into the country's broader confidence. It teaches that expression has value, and that innovation is not limited to technology or business, it can also live in art and rhythm. Another important aspect of modern Carnival is its role in bringing people together across differences. Trinidad and Tobago is a nation with many roots: African, Indian, Chinese, European, and Middle Eastern. Each group has its own traditions, but Carnival unites them all. During that time, people forget who came from where. You see Hindu women in Mars bands, Muslim men playing steel pan, and Christians dancing alongside them. No one asks about religion or background. That feeling of equality, even if it's for a few days, leaves a deep mark on society. It reminds everyone that shared joy is stronger than division. In a world where cultures often clash, Trinidad quietly shows how diversity can become a strength when celebrated with respect. The youth of Trinidad and Tobago have also taken ownership of Carnival in their own way. For them, it's not just about repeating what past generations did, it's about pushing boundaries. Social media has given them new platforms to share the experience globally. They record preparations, share costume designs, post calypso rehearsals, and invite the world to join virtually. What older generations built with hands, they now extend with technology. The pride is the same, but the reach is wider. Through these new voices, Trinidad's culture finds new life, proving that tradition doesn't die, it adapts. Economically, Carnival remains a pillar of the country's creative industry. Beyond tourism, it fuels fashion, media, and entertainment sectors all year long. Costume bands operate as small businesses, creating jobs for thousands of people. From seamstresses and carpenters to sound engineers and event planners, an entire ecosystem grows around this festival. For the government, Carnival isn't just culture, it's economic opportunity. For communities, it's a reminder that culture and livelihood can walk hand in hand. And for individuals, it's proof that what started as a struggle for freedom now feeds families and builds futures. Tourism benefits immensely from this cultural engine. Each year, visitors from across the world, especially from Europe, North America, and other Caribbean islands, arrive to experience the energy firsthand. They're not only drawn by the spectacle, but by the warmth of the people. Trinidadians have mastered the art of hospitality without losing authenticity. They don't perform culture for tourists, they invite them into it. Visitors find that what makes the country attractive is not just the festival itself, but how naturally everyone belongs to it. There's a lesson there: real beauty is in the people, not the performance. Over time, Carnival has also inspired a sense of social responsibility. Many community groups and non-profit organizations use the season to raise funds or awareness for social causes. You might see a band dedicated to environmental awareness or youth empowerment. Others organize cleanups after the events, turning celebration into action. This link between enjoyment and duty has become a proud trait of Trinidadian society. The people understand that joy is most meaningful when it improves life around them. Even in the face of challenges, the carnival spirit endures. The pandemic years tested the country's resilience when public gatherings were restricted. For the first time in generations, the streets fell silent in February. Yet, instead of fading away, Carnival adapted. Virtual shows, home performances, and digital competitions kept the rhythm alive. It was proof that the spirit of Carnival doesn't live in the parade route, it lives in the people. When restrictions ended, the return was emotional. The first beat of the steel pan echoed like a heartbeat, marking not just a comeback but a rebirth. Fashion, too, has felt Carnival's influence. Designers from Trinidad and Tobago have taken inspiration from Mars costumes to create collections that appear on runways in New York, Paris, and London. The bold use of color, the attention to detail, and the freedom of form all trace back to the creativity of the festival. At the same time, everyday fashion in Trinidad reflects that confidence: bright fabrics, jewelry with cultural meaning, and hairstyles that carry both African and Caribbean heritage. What people wear daily is a quiet continuation of what they celebrate loudly once a year. Carnival's link with music continues to define Trinidad's international identity. Soca, calypso, chutney, and steel pan music have all reached far beyond the island's borders. Artists from Trinidad now collaborate with musicians from Africa, Latin America, and the United States, creating a fusion that carries the Caribbean pulse into global stages. Through these connections, the message spreads that joy and resistance, melody and memory, can live together in one beat. Music is the nation's passport, and Carnival is the stamp that identifies it. Education has also started to embrace the cultural power of Carnival. Schools now include lessons about its origins, meaning, and economic importance. Children learn that culture is not something separate from life, it is part of the national fabric. This early education helps build pride and belonging from a young age. For many, their first memory of Carnival isn't as a spectator, but as a participant in a school parade or steel band performance. It's a hands-on way of learning history through rhythm, costume, and teamwork. Modern Carnival also faces debates about commercialization. Some people worry that sponsorships and media attention may take away the authenticity of the celebration. It's a fair concern, but most Trinidadians see it differently. They believe that as long as the meaning, freedom, unity, and creativity remains intact, growth is not a threat but a sign of relevance. The challenge, then, is balance, keeping the soul of Carnival while embracing the world's attention. So far, Trinidad has managed that balance better than most. Another modern discussion revolves around inclusivity and safety. Organizers now focus on making Carnival spaces open to everyone, including people with disabilities and families with children. Security improvements, better organization, and awareness campaigns have helped protect the festival's friendly reputation. The result is that visitors feel safe and welcome, which reinforces the nation's image as one of the Caribbean's most peaceful destinations. Technology, too, has changed how Carnival is experienced. Drone footage, live streaming, and digital art have transformed how people capture and share the event. A person sitting in London or Nairobi can now watch a live performance in Port of Spain in real time. Yet despite these changes, the heart of Carnival remains personal. The laughter, the music, the shared glances between strangers in the crowd, those moments can't be digitized. They're what keep the tradition alive beyond screens. Many elders in Trinidad and Tobago see themselves as guardians of Carnival's true meaning. They remind the younger generation that it began with resistance, not just revelry. They tell stories of early pioneers who risked punishment for expressing themselves. Their words keep the past connected to the present. Without that memory, Carnival would risk becoming just another festival. But with it, it remains a living monument to survival and dignity. Globally, Trinidad and Tobago's Carnival has become the model that others follow. From Toronto's Caribana to London's Notting Hill Carnival, the influence is clear. The format, the music, and even the spirit come directly from the Twin Islands. Each time it's replicated, it spreads the story of how one small nation turned struggle into art. That is cultural leadership without borders. In recent years, the government and private sector have begun investing in preserving Carnival's history. Museums, archives, and digital platforms now document costumes, songs, and photographs for future generations. It's an effort to make sure that no part of the story is lost. The goal is not just to celebrate, but to understand and to keep the lesson alive that freedom, once earned, must always be remembered. For visitors who come for the first time, the experience can be overwhelming. They often arrive expecting a party and leave with something much deeper. They realize that the noise, the sweat, and the laughter all carry meaning. Every drumbeat tells a story, every costume remembers a history, and every smile hides a sense of pride. What they witness is not chaos, it's organized emotion. As the years go by, Carnival continues to define what it means to be Trinidadian. It shapes how the world sees the islands and how the people see themselves. It's the proof that national identity doesn't need to be forced through slogans, it grows naturally through shared experience. Carnival is that shared experience, repeated every year, linking past to present and individuals to community. And finally, when the music fades and the people return to normal life, the spirit of Carnival remains quietly alive. It's in the way people greet each other, the confidence in their voices, the humor in their conversations. It's not about the costumes anymore, it's about the pride that every Trinidadian carries long after the parade ends. That is the real meaning of Carnival today, a nation's heartbeat that never stops, even when the drums do.